On this episode of the Late Night Startup Show, we are speaking with the master of flipping all tables, chairs, and household items, Jon Bailey of Atlanta Used Furniture. But first, this episode is brought to you by RCR Video Marketing Group, a multifaceted Atlanta-based video production company creating compelling content to fast forward your business. Let's get into it. Thanks for joining us today. I'm really excited to hear your story and how you got here. My wife and I came to your open house about a week ago, and we walked in probably 2 hours after you guys opened, and everything was just sold.
Yeah, man.
How did you get to this point?
So in college, I played football, and I was like, I need some money to go out with. And when you play football, it's a full-time job, so you don't have time to go out and you don't have time to go work. So I don't know how I ended up doing it, but one day I looked up on Craigslist. I was just chilling on Craigslist, and I clicked the furniture thing. Don't know why. I started looking at the furniture, and I was like, this stuff, people are moving out of town, and they're literally just getting rid of their furniture.
So you weren't like in the market for a sofa?
Not at all. I don't even know how I ended up on Craigslist, to be honest. So I ended up seeing this white sofa pair for like $60. And I was actually at my parents' house, but I was going back to Athens. I went to Georgia. I was like, Dad, can you please go pick this sofa set up? I know it's worth more than this. I know I can resell it. He's like, sure, John, whatever. Didn't really care. Picked it up. A couple days later, I ended up relisting it on Craigslist, I think for like $300, and it sold within an hour.
Wow.
I was like, I just made $240 off this one piece of furniture. Yeah. So I got the bug, started buying random stuff off Craigslist, and I saw deals. I ended up going to auctions, and then I filled up my parents' garage full of furniture in college, and then they were like, they loved it, don't get me wrong, but then they were like, you need to find a storage unit. We don't want all this crap in our garage. Ended up getting the 1,000 square foot storage unit. Over about a year, that started overflowing with stuff. Ended up getting a warehouse, took a big leap, got a warehouse in Chamblee, which was around 5,000 square feet. Was there for about 2 years. Kept doing the same thing, got on Instagram, started selling through that. And within about 2 years, I was like, okay, I need to find a new space. Ended up getting this place where I currently am now been here about a month. And so, yeah, it's been a long journey to get here.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you said you started selling on Instagram. Were you paying to sponsor ads, or you just kind of started posting pictures of the furniture?
Yeah, everyone knows that social media is the future. So I just made an Instagram account, just thought up a name, Atlanta Used Furniture, just basically what it is.
Yeah.
It's used furniture in Atlanta. Just started posting stuff, using hashtags to get people to look at it. And over time, people saw that I had deals, started following me, started telling their friends. And then, yeah, it just went off from there.
So how fast did that grow from your first post to your 23,000, 24 now?
Well, I had an Instagram about a year after I started flipping stuff. So it's been about 3 years now, up to that point.
How many sales? What majority of your sales come from there, or is it 10% of it?
I'd say about 60%
Really?
of my
Wow.
sales come through Instagram, and then the rest are the movie industry that comes through and buys for their sets.
Okay, man, that's 60%. That's impressive.
Yeah, I don't even market. All my marketing is just through Instagram now. Thank God for it because it's free. I'm scared that Instagram's one day is going to be like, you need to pay for this. But
so you're just taking, pictures in your natural light with your phone, or do you have a professional photographer come in and take pictures?
iPhone 8.
iPhone 8
now, but yeah, pictures are what sell the product. If you have terrible pictures, if you're another dealer, it won't sell.
Yeah.
But if you stage it correctly, have the correct lighting on it, the more people that see it, most likely it's going to sell.
So you got the bug after selling this $50 sofa for $300. Is that bug still as strong now, or even stronger?
Stronger. Constantly, I'm just thinking about where I can get the next piece. It's definitely constant, though.
So let's dive into that. Where do you get the next piece?
Well, throughout the years, I would just drive around. I would look at stuff on Craigslist. I would drive to go get it. But over time, I acquired people that reach out to me now, so it's made my job 100% easier. I have pickers that are out of state that will call me and say, hey, we got 50 pieces for you.
Yeah.
So about once or twice a month now, I end up going out of state, picking up a load, and then bringing it back.
So are you buying kind of like a bulk stock and then you split it out from there?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say pickers, but they're my friends that live in other states now. Okay. So yeah, I definitely buy in bulk from them. I usually fill up about 60 new pieces a truckload, and I do that about twice a month. So
when you look around your warehouse here, you obviously have kind of a knack for the vintage style. Why is your focus on that? Have you seen that your customer engagement tends to spend a little more money on that and cares more about that style, or is it just what you're passionate about?
When I started, I would just buy normal household stuff like modern furniture, anything I could make a deal with. But I started to go more towards the mid-century because that's just where the money is and that's the market right now. I mean, I like it, but it's not like I'm not super hot for it. Like, it's not the only thing that I would want to sell. But living it down in the city where people our age, they want mid-century right now. Definitely mid-century is the hottest thing though going right now. But I do sell modern pieces, but people our age, it's the hottest thing going. So.
But are you keeping kind of your ear to the ground, or are you looking at what's selling, the selling trends, and trying to always be ahead of that curve? Say if something not so vintage starts to kind of get traction.
I'm not opposed to that at all. If I know, let's say like French furniture starts to get really hot in Atlanta, I will definitely start buying it and trying to sell it because it's a business overall. I guess what's going to make your business grow. Yeah. If mid-century's not hot anymore, I'm not going to sell it because I won't be able to pay rent.
Yeah. So I guess a little more practically, do you have any, charts or analytics or anything that you keep up with? Say someone else who's doing the same thing, they're kind of flipping, I don't know, shoes or something off eBay, and maybe the Adidas are a little more hotter than the Nikes now. Like, is there any practical analytics that you keep up with, or is it just kind of your gut, ear to the ground?
Well, doing this for a couple of years, what will sell. The market. Like, I can look at something on the street and I know exactly what I'll post it for and how fast it'll sell usually. So no, I don't really I just look at what I've sold in the past. I mean, I do pay attention to trends, but I don't really look at other dealers of, hey, they're selling it for this. And if I do that, I know what they're selling it for, so usually I'll sell it for less. Yeah. Because people will come to me and buy it. 'Cause why would you want to pay more for something if you don't have to?
Yeah, kind of undercut them. Well, so it sounds like you just got the bug for used furniture, but in order to see opportunity in this, like you said, you just clicked on furniture on Craigslist. So in order to see the opportunity in the opportunity to grow a business in this world, you have to have some type of entrepreneurial spirit, background. I don't know if your parents were entrepreneurs, but where does this entrepreneur desire come from in you?
So I'm actually the only entrepreneur in my entire family. Like, as deep as I can go in my family, I don't know anyone that's not really a full-time entrepreneur. Yeah. Growing up, I just didn't want to work for anyone. I just believe that life is too short to have a boss. Why would you have a boss if you can be your own boss? Yeah. And just the freedom that comes with being an entrepreneur is what makes me grind. I mean, without freedom, you have nothing, in my opinion. So
what about your football experience? Does that play into the discipline and kind of the perseverance into you being an entrepreneur?
Playing college football will definitely teach you discipline. Yeah. Just from getting up, grinding every day. I mean, being on the team, you did have a coach, who is ultimately your boss, and I respected that. But there's times where you're like, why am I doing this? Yeah. Like, he has total control of me. I just didn't like that feeling. I knew in college that I was going to be an entrepreneur when I got out. Yeah. I even almost tried to drop out 3 or 4 times just because I was like, Mom, like, I'm not going to use my degree. Because I was doing it in college. I started doing this in college, and I was making money, and I knew I could eventually evolve into a business. And I was majoring in sports management, and I was like, I'm not going to work in sports when I get out of it. So yeah, I almost dropped out probably 4 times.
It was very similar backstory to myself. I was doing video in high school and decided not to go to college. I was like, I know exactly what I want to do. Luckily, my parents didn't pressure me or make me feel bad for not going to college. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is, it seems like growing up or in college, high school, there's certain tendencies that people have and characteristics that lend them to being an entrepreneur. For instance, you thought life is too short to have any boss and you wanted complete control. if there's an entrepreneur watching or an aspiring entrepreneur watching in the audience, what advice would you give them to maybe examine what they're doing now, whether it's a 9 to 5 or whether they're in college? What advice would you give them to examine where they are now, what they're doing now, and to kind of cherry pick those entrepreneur tendencies to be like, look, you can do this. You're not now, but you have the characteristics to do so.
I mean, I knew I was going to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't know exactly what I was going to do. I think it's just a gut feeling you have of, like, hey, I'm going to get out there. I'm going to make a name for myself. I'm going to grind every day. I'm not going to let people control me. I'm not going to have going to every day at work not knowing I'm going to go home without a job. I just didn't want that feeling, and I don't think majority of people don't, but they never take that step. They never take that risk in life of, hey, let's try this out and see what happens. You could always, you can always take 2 years of your life, try to make something happen. If for some reason it doesn't work out, yeah, you can definitely find a job again. But if you go through life not knowing, hey, maybe I should have tried this. Maybe I should have tried to build a business when I was young. I just didn't want to live in that regret when I was 60 years old, when I turned 60. So, I don't know, it's just a big step, but definitely worth it in the long run.
So, John, how do you avoid becoming complacent? I mean, you've started in 2013, 2014, you filled up your parents' basement, you filled up a 5,000 square foot warehouse, now you're here. How do you avoid becoming complacent?
I just wake up every day just saying, hey, there might be a dealer or someone out there that's going to be working harder than me, and I don't want that overall. If you're not driven being an entrepreneur, you'll get nowhere. That's probably the number one characteristic that I have for an entrepreneur. If you don't have a drive of self-drive, you won't get anywhere. But if you wake up every day, get to work, put your boots on, like, hey, I'm going to bust ass today. I'm going to make this the best day ever. You will grow a business over time. I mean, a lot of struggle, a lot of heartache. I've had days where I didn't want to do that. Yeah. I mean, you wake up, you're like, why am I doing this to myself? I could go get a 9 to 5 job, make $65 a year like everyone else. Yeah. But you just it's just a gut feeling like, hey, I need to get up, put my boots on, I need to bust ass today, and let's keep pushing forward.
Yeah. So, throughout all my conversations with entrepreneurs and business owners, no matter how old they are, their experience, the things they say can more often than not be cliche. Like, I wake up and think that someone's grinding harder than me. A lot of people say that. I just kind of want to break it down a little bit because people say it and then we move past it. But how much of that is saying, my competition may be doing better than me or may be working harder than me? Is it that, or is it more so putting a fear in yourself of saying, all right, this may be the case, so I need to get my ass in gear? Is it really looking at your competition, or is it just putting your own back against the wall?
I'd say a little bit of both. I mean, obviously, when you grow a business, you want to be the best of what you do in that business. So, yeah, my main goal is to be the #1 place to go to for used furniture in Atlanta. But at the same time, it's a lot on yourself too. You want to be the best that you can be in life. I mean, life's too short to not be the best. So it's definitely a little bit of both, though.
Here's something that's interesting. You're obviously a young guy. You graduated Georgia in 2014, 13, 14?
15, I think.
15?
Maybe 14, okay. I don't even know.
In the last couple of years, yeah. So you're a young entrepreneur. Do you ever experience any other business owner or customer coming in and seeing kind of how young you are and where you came from?
People are actually super surprised. Like in the past, people show up and they'll say, hey, is the owner here? And I'm like, I am the owner. Yeah. And they're like, what? You're pretty young. And like in this business, not too many people are my age are selling furniture, especially antiques. Yeah. Think of antiques, you think of like grandma's house or antique shops that only old people go into. But yeah, definitely the age has actually definitely helped me in this business because people respect that I'm a young entrepreneur. I'm trying to make it. So I feel like they respect that more than someone who's been doing it for 40 years and
that's interesting.
Sitting on their hands.
I feel like there's some industries like in my world, for instance, in video production, you're tempted not to say your age if you're like 28, 27 or below, just because people will think that you don't have the time under your belt to legitimately call yourself a director or anything. So
I can see that. It can go both ways, though. Yeah. And definitely in some industries, you need years under your belt for you to be respected like that, like you're talking about. But I think more it's just, hey, this kid's busting his butt every day. Let's see what it's all about.
Yeah, that's all. I mean, all that to say, you know, any aspiring entrepreneur, don't let your age or lack of experience discourage you from
Definitely,
trying.
even if you're 50 years old and you've never had the chance to start your own business, but you've wanted to, it's never too late. There's always time. Age is just a number, in my opinion.
Yeah. So let's get a little more practical as far as like going back to you using Instagram and social media. Are there any other platforms that you use, Pinterest or something?
I don't. Instagram's it.
Just Instagram.
Yeah.
Are you even on Facebook, like as Atlanta Used Furniture?
Yeah. Well, I had to make an official Facebook just so I can have a business profile on Instagram. But no, I don't use any of the Facebook. I thought about it, but it would be just too much to do. Like, I don't want to be looking at Facebook posts and then looking at Instagram posts. I'd rather just have one place to go to.
I think that's super interesting because I mean, so many people in today's entrepreneurial landscape are there on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, Google Plus, even though no one's on there.
Yeah.
You know, so to find someone that is like, nope, my focus is on Instagram. That's what it is. How did you, you know, how do you put that laser focus on just that one platform and kind of ignore the noise of the other platforms?
I personally think that Instagram is a lot easier to use. So you could easily go to someone's page and automatically see what they all posted. You go to someone's Facebook page, you're gonna be reading through all comments that you don't want to read. You got to click the pictures. I mean, Instagram still is, but at the time it's a lot easier for me to use, and it was I mean, it was already established, but it was more up and coming than Facebook. I just felt like, hey, if I build a Facebook, you don't know what's going to happen in 5 years, and you still don't know what's going to happen. Instagram might be dead in 3 years, so you always got to stay above the trend, and always got to be looking at what other outlets. But at this point, it's just Instagram.
Yeah. So are you paying to sponsor any ads or anything, or?
I've sponsored around, I think, 3 or 4 ads on Instagram.
And was that with furniture, or was it more about advertising Atlanta Used Furniture?
Advertising Atlanta Used Furniture.
Okay, not necessarily like, hey, I have this item.
No, not at all.
Okay.
It was more of just, I made a video about a month ago just to show my new location of how close it is to downtown. I sponsored that, and I think 2 other things in the past. But no, I've never sponsored furniture. It's mainly just been word of mouth.
But yet you're still seeing 60% of your sales.
Yep.
Through Instagram.
It's been pretty crazy. Like, I'll post something on Instagram and then I'll get 5 messages saying that they'll want it.
Well, I saw the other day you were asking, you took a poll, you used the Instagram poll. Yeah. Should you put your phone number up there?
And then everyone said no.
Yeah.
After I posted, I was like, yeah, that's kind of a terrible idea. I would never do that.
But at least you're engaging with your customers and clients.
It's all about engaging.
The ideas.
I mean, if they feel like they're a part of it, they're going to come back. I mean, if I just don't respond or not friendly, I mean, being friendly to your customers is a huge thing to do in this business. Even if they do something that like, oh my God, they're wrong in this situation.
Well, I think. Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, yeah, you just got to be nice to them, and then they'll respect you.
Yeah, I think a lot of people too, make the mistake of not necessarily being themselves on Instagram or on their social, and they put out more of their brand identity or image, and versus every company now, people want to know the story. They want to know the actual face behind the brand.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
you put out a picture, I think it was of your grandmother
pushing
the cart full of
mimosas.
champagne for mimosas that you had on your open house. So
you just got to make it personal. I agree. I mean, the more personal you can get, the more interaction you'll get. If I never posted anything about me, they wouldn't know the face of Atlanta Used Furniture. They wouldn't know who worked here. But I believe that's a huge thing when it comes to business.
Yeah. Well, everyone
also helps your story too.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you want your story out there. You just want to be like, yeah, I got a warehouse full of furniture. Yeah. They want to know exactly how it all started.
People always have their tagline or logline and all that, versus when you actually put up stuff like that, people get to know the personality a little more. Everyone is posting on Instagram. They're trying to convert their followers to customers, and more often than not, people may have 100,000, 500,000 followers, and maybe 1% or even less of those people are actually purchasing or converted into paying customers. So what advice would you give in talking to someone who's using Instagram, trying to make that a valuable sales force for their company, what advice would you give them to help promote their Instagram to actual paying clients?
Mm-hmm. First of all, is I would never buy followers. I know a lot of businesses that buy followers to show that, hey, like people don't know they buy them. So you look at someone's business Instagram, they got 40,000 people on it, but then you look at their pictures, they have like 100 likes. It's like, okay, obviously this dude bought his followers. And you don't want to put that out there. You don't want to be fake and say, hey, look at our business. It's growing tremendously. You just got to be real. I mean, yeah, I have 22,000 followers, but a lot of them are customers. And when you don't buy your followers, it turns into word of mouth, and then that turns into more purchases or selling for me. Yeah. So I would definitely not buy followers like a lot of businesses do.
Yeah, I mean, it's tempting, especially, with the late night startup, to be honest. It's like we're kind of a blog, a podcast, so it's easy to feel tempted to buy followers.
Totally. In the past, I've thought about buying followers, but when I sat down and thought about it, I was like, I would just be telling myself that my business is like, if I wake up one day and I have 10,000 more followers, but they're all bots, like, I would just be telling myself that I'm doing better than I really am, and I don't want that.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I mean, if I have 1,000 followers, I'd rather have 1,000 followers and 200 of them are actually buying stuff than have 100,000 followers and 100 of them are flying. I don't get the point of businesses doing that.
Yeah, I like what you said though about it's almost, once you make the purchase, it's almost tricking your own mind to thinking that your business is
like,
doing
oh
better
man,
than
one business is booming in Atlanta, and they're all robots liking your stuff.
Yeah.
So.
And a lot of people buy them, and they're trying to just encourage more people who may be checking out their page. Like, oh, well, 10,000 people are following this, I'll follow too. But does that really work?
I think people can see straight through that kind of stuff. Yeah. I mean, I know I can. I know a lot of other people can.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome. That's a good point. Well, is there anything else, kind of final thoughts, wrap it up, give advice, or just call to action, anything you want to add to this conversation in this entrepreneur landscape to add your 2 cents?
Just know that being an entrepreneur, it's a journey. It's a long journey. There'll be tough times, be terrible times. There'll be days that you don't want to get up, but then at the end of all of it, it's totally worth it. And if you're on the edge of being an entrepreneur, definitely sit down, think about what you want to do. Don't just quit your job and be like, okay, I'm going to be an entrepreneur now. But have a goal, have a guideline of what you're going to do. But definitely, life's too short to not be one, in my opinion, man. Take a risk, and hopefully it'll work out in the end.
That's awesome. Even after a gut-wrenching loss that Georgia suffered, they got to wake up, practice, and strive for that national title the next season. So, very similar. Well, Jon, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure. Guys, I just want to give you one last thing. You can check out Jon at Atlanta Used Furniture on Instagram. He's constantly posting pictures of his amazing furniture that he has here, amazing deals, and you may get to see more pictures of his grandmother buying champagne.
Yeah, come on by, free alcohol. You never know.
Awesome.